And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Alix Steel. We're counting you down to the closing bell. And here to help take us beyond the bell, it's a global simulcast with Scarlet Fu in the TV studio, Massar and Tim Stenovec on radio, as we welcome our audiences across our Bloomberg platforms. And of course, welcome also all of our viewers watching us on YouTube. Massar, quite a turnaround from what we were talking about just 24 hours ago in this equity market. Almost all of the gains from yesterday erased.
It's like, what happened, right, in 24 hours? It's pretty remarkable. And I feel like the Magnificent Seven are getting back together again, because not all of them have been seeing kind of some of the moves to the upside. Apple alone, right, its biggest move, up the most in almost a year here, 11 months. There's a story by Mark Gurman about what they're doing with some of their computers, maybe a reboot when it comes to the Macs. But nonetheless, that stacks up more than 4% in today's session.
It's interesting, this happening on a day where we see yields, at least on the long end of the curve, continuing to move higher. It's something I asked Kathy Jones over at Charles Schwab about, because she is the chief fixed income strategist. And she says, okay, well, we still see 2 rate cuts this year, but and this is not her base case, but she said that yields on the 10-year could kind of test those 4.8%, 4.85% by the end of the year. Not base case, but we could still see rates move higher.
We've seen this before, where equity investors shrug off whatever's happening with eco data because they say, look, the economy is doing well and corporate earnings are going to deliver. Whether we get first quarter earnings growth of 3.9%, as one consensus has it, or something much larger, as it usually happens because everyone lowballs it, people are counting on earnings, especially from those Magnificent Seven names, to deliver and keep pushing prices up.
Yeah, and of course, all 7 of those names are in the green solidly on the day, with Apple up 4% here. Some other big gainers out there include Paramount and Broadcom. The big drags right now coming from names like Fastenal, which Alex was just talking about a little while ago. As we get the closing bells here in New York, the S&P 500, phenomenal day, a phenomenal turnaround from yesterday, up 38 points, or about 0.7%, recouping most of the losses from yesterday. The NASDAQ Composite, though, recouping all of the losses from yesterday and then some, up 72 points, or about 1.7%. The Russell 2000 also higher here on the day, up right now about 0.7% here on the day. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average, Carol, actually sitting this one out, down about 3 points. We'll just call it unchanged on the day.
All right, unchanged on the day. Back to the S&P 500, kind of an even split. 232 names to the upside, guys, 270 to the downside. NASDAQ, though, NASDAQ 100, Scarlett, almost all the names, 75 gaining in today's session, 25 lower.
Yeah, and that's reflected in the sector performances as well. You look at the IMAP, and it's pretty much a split, although there's a big chunk of green, and that belongs to infotech, communication services, and consumer discretionary. So it's like the fourth quarter all over again. All the Mag 7, all the big tech names are in the green. The laggards here are financials. That's Morgan Stanley right there, and healthcare stocks, as well as consumer staples.
All right, let's get to some of the individual gainers. Going to go back to Apple, if I may, because that's your number 4 gainer in both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. We talked about Mark Gurman out with his story about them overhauling the entire Mac line with a new family of in-house processors designed to highlight AI. So there's that story out there. Apple shares finishing the day up 4.3%. Also interesting, saw this on the Bloomberg, Apple drawing interest from hedge fund investors seeing potential for AI-linked upgrades to its iPhones, and as a slump in its shares reduces the stock's valuation premium. This was coming from J.P. Morgan Chase analysts, so some attention certainly on Apple today. Rent the Runway, we were breaking down their earnings. This is like off the charts, but keep in mind the stock closing at $19 and change, up 161% in today's session, a record intraday gain. I'm assuming it's going to be a record gain overall, but this is after the company came out, fourth quarter revenue and adjusted EBITDA topping the average analyst estimate. Again, we broke this down yesterday. Shares had slid nearly 90% in the past through Wednesday's close. Stock did have a pretty decent and high short position, so fair to say, as we said yesterday, maybe some short covering going on. And Paramount Global, just wanted to mention that, number 1 gainer in the S&P 500 day, up more than 7%. Skydance slated to meet with Paramount management to begin due diligence next week. This was coming from CNBC. They did not cite exactly where that information came from. And Adweek out saying Paramount Global has hired, it looks like a law firm or firm to explore the sale of VidCon, citing an unidentified person. There just feels like there's a lot of stuff going on. This is not a distressed asset, according to the person in the know, but it does feel like things are maybe slowly moving forward to that final deal, maybe between Paramount and certainly Skydance.
And we should also mention, I'll add a fourth there on your board with Amazon closing at a record high today.
Good. Yeah. Great.
First record high since going all the way back to 2021 there, I believe. Let's talk about some of the decliners here. Morgan Stanley closing down 5.25%. It did fall as much as 7.2%. This after a report that a group of U.S. regulators are scrutinizing the firm's efforts to prevent potential money laundering by wealthy clients. We're talking about the SEC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, and other Treasury Department offices, digging into whether the company has done enough to investigate the identities of risky clients, the Wall Street Journal wrote, citing unidentified people familiar with the matter. We did already know that the Federal Reserve was looking into these controls last year. And I don't know if you guys saw this. I think it's the most read story now on the Bloomberg terminal in the last hour. It's about the insurance company Globe Life, GLUS. It's in the S&P 500, by far the worst performer on a percentage basis in the S&P 500, down 53% today, sinking by a record after the second short seller this month called out the company. Shares of the company fell, wow, more than 50%, a record drop that took it to the lowest level in years. The sell-off followed a critical report from Fuzzy Panda Research, which said it had a short position in the company.
Yeah.
We should say representatives from Globe Life did not respond to a request for comment. The company is scheduled to report earnings later this month, and the report comes in the wake of another individual over at Orso Partners calling out Globe Life as a short idea last week.
It kind of amazes me that they haven't come out at this. I mean, this has been going on for like 2 weeks now, 10 days, right?
This is, well, that first report, the first was called out at the Stone conference last week, and then this Fuzzy Panda report came out today. But 53, there was halted several times too for volatility. And then let's talk CarMax real quick, down 9.2%. The company did fall intraday the most in more than 18 months. It reported profits that missed Wall Street expectations. High monthly payments potentially scaring off would-be used car buyers.
All right, also taking a look at the bond market here because stuff did not really happen. You did have a 30-year auction that didn't go very well at all, but yields were only up by about 4 basis points. Now, keep in mind, this is adding on to the big move that we saw yesterday. So all in all, you're looking at, 22, 25 basis points over the last couple days. But you did start to see some buying in the front end, guys. So clearly there are yields that people are willing to step in and buy. And it looks like 4.94 for the 2-year is potentially one of them.
All right, guys, I don't know about how you felt when you read this story when you were maybe reading in this morning, but New York City airports for a long time not known for being great places. They've been kind of scary places, kind of old and run down.
Third world country, as our president put it.
Yes, many years ago. Not well said, right? But anyway, maybe not wrong, but having said that, we've come a long way in a few years and a lot of money. In March, LaGuardia earning the 2023 title for Best Airport in North America within its weight class, which, as Tim and I were saying, we didn't even know there were weight classes when it comes to airports. But this was based on surveys and passenger feedback, basically when they looked at departure and arrival surveys and a lot of other things. But we have come a long way. And I don't know, last time you guys were in an airport, right?
Well,
we have changed a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, LaGuardia was just,
That bar was
talk
real
about
low.
going from worse. Yeah, they couldn't have gone any further down. I remember one of the last trips we took before the pandemic out of LaGuardia, before they did the renovations, and we were just like, what's going on?
Well,
and now it's a dream.
It's
better
dream.
than the Bloomberg office.
I wouldn't say
Slow
that.
your roll there.
I've been at LaGuardia in the past where I've been surrounded by buckets because it was raining outside
Yes.
and the roof was leaking. It was like a common, they had like permanent buckets set up. It's pretty amazing to see. I mean, it comes at a cost, tens of billions of dollars, public-private partnerships that made this possible. But I've been saying all day, when are they going to do the subways? Because it did work so well.
Well, that's a whole other issue, isn't it? You can
It
have
is.
gleaming airport terminals, but if you can't really get there, they were going to expand the air train there, but it costs too much money. So right now they're running shuttles, which means you get stuck in Queens traffic.
No, and there's no air train, I believe, coming to LaGuardia.
No,
No.
there isn't, because it's too cost prohibitive.
Exactly.
Can we just enjoy the nice airports for just a little bit?
I wish they'd fly more direct New York to California flights out of LaGuardia.
They don't do that?
They don't
More
do
JFK?
that.
I think there's only one,
JFK.
but they don't have the runway for it.
The good thing, though, is, I mean, JFK is starting to step its game up, too. I mean, there's a couple terminals they still need to kind of address. But I've been in the newer one they did out. It's actually pretty nice, too.
You know what was really nice? I went the other time, the last couple times I've gone to Houston, Newark, which I never go to because it cost me like $200 to get there from Brooklyn. But it's really nice
It
and
is really
very
nice.
efficient.
Terminal A, it's really gorgeous, right? How did that happen? And that
No.
That was Port Authority at work. See, guys, things can happen.
That was Port Authority?
That was Port Authority
Wow.
who paid for that.
We're all
one.
just, stunned into silence.
Yeah, I am stunned into silence. Doesn't Port okay, never mind.
Hey, you guys
Go
saw-
there. Careful, be careful.
We got to go, but I just want to do another shout out for today's big take about the ROI on college. Really, really good story, and kind of wish it would have existed. I won't say how
Would
many
you
years
have done
ago.
something differently?
A few years ago, I would have. When you're 17 years old, you're not like looking into this stuff the way you should. But,
I know we don't have time to talk about this, but we were talking with the KPMG U.S. CEO earlier, that CEO survey. He actually said some companies are actually dropping some of their college degree requirements for some.
I don't believe that. I think people say that, but in practice, it's very difficult for them to look at 2 resumes if they're actually even looking at them and say, you know what, we're not going to go with the guy who graduated from college.
That's a good point.
when their kids don't go to college, I'll believe it.
It's hard for kids to even get internships. I mean, they're so picky.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Scarlett, on that. I don't think they're dropping it.
It's a great talking point, but.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Our cross-platform radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. We call it Beyond the Bell. We will see you for the Friday edition, same time, same place tomorrow.